This video is sponsored by BodyBio. Get 20% off Elite and all BodyBio products with promo code RTRS20 at BodyBio's website. Allow me to begin this video with a very important caveat. I fully recognize and appreciate the theatrical aspects that accompany a public trade demand. I understand that certain things might be leaked to the media in order to achieve certain goals while not being 100% true. It is possible, for example, that Ben Simmons doesn't feel thrown under the bus by Doc Rivers, but rather simply wants to leave a city that has decidedly soured on him. In the end, I don't blame him for wanting out of Philadelphia. I think it's in his best interest to get a fresh start somewhere else. There are a number of very legitimate factors that should lead him to that conclusion. However, that is just about the nicest olive branch that I can extend to Ben Simmons in this situation. Everything about his trade request saga, from his circumstances that led to it happening, to the way that he's gone about it, is completely and utterly ridiculous, and Simmons deserves no sympathy on the matter. While I don't blame him for wanting out, I do blame him for creating all of the circumstances that have led to him needing to ask out. After 4 years of this organization trying everything in its power to make Simmons happy, comfortable, and successful, Simmons has improved at precisely nothing on offense. He never became the player who he claimed he was, and had an all-time playoff implosion that left the entire city of Philadelphia in a catatonic state. After all that, to watch him stamp his feet and act like he has all the leverage in the world to ask out is downright comical. If I didn't know any better based on the reporting and based on some chatter behind the scenes, I would say that Simmons' true motivation has to be as simple as wanting a fresh start. There's no way he could feel indignant about the way this team has treated him. If Simmons wanting out is simply a matter of beef with the organization, where else could he possibly have found a more accommodating franchise over the past 4 years? Doc Rivers spent the entire season trying to gaslight anyone who would listen into thinking that Simmons' flaws don't matter and that anyone who criticizes Ben doesn't know basketball. It was an unprecedented coddling of a professional athlete, way further than even Brett Brown's public defenses of Simmons went. For one stray comment after a brutal loss to lead to Simmons losing all willingness to work with him is bizarre. If it's true that this one comment is what has made Simmons demand a trade, it's downright pathetic. Rivers didn't throw Simmons under the bus. Even if he did, you would think that he's earned enough respect and cachet from Simmons over the course of a year to be able to talk it out like two responsible adults. But it appears that no such thing is happening. Regardless, let's set aside the Game 7 press conferences for a moment and focus on the big picture, team building aspect of things. On that front, it's hard to see anything pushing Simmons to ask out. Over and over again, they made every effort to let him handle the ball, to play point guard even though he is not one. Time and again, they made massive bets on Simmons becoming the player that he claimed he could be, and he never became that player. Simmons campaigned publicly and privately to be the lead ball handler of the team. The Sixers granted him that role, and he rewarded them with one of the most embarrassing playoff no-shows in the history of basketball. That is no one's fault but his own. If he didn't want to be unmasked in such a blatant way in the playoffs, he should have either A, improved at his weaknesses, or B, accepted a lesser role by allowing the team to build the roster out in a different way. No such example looms larger in that sense than the decision to let Jimmy Butler walk 2 years ago, which, make no mistake, was a decision made primarily due to the lack of on and off court fit with Simmons. There were certainly other factors at play, but none bigger than that one. In pairing Butler with Joel Embiid, the Sixers had completed the most difficult task in team building in the NBA, acquiring two players who get along, fit together on the court, and are good enough to be the two best players on a championship team. The Sixers punted on that in order to retain a so-so coach and a player who refuses to shoot. The challenges of building around Simmons are all over the Sixers' failings over the past few years. He has left them with an impossible task. He will neither improve in a way that allows him to be a primary ball handler, nor accept a role as anything less. Retaining hope that the former would happen, the Sixers accommodated him at every step, only for him to let them down. And that is the foremost reason why the way this trade request has gone down is so bizarre. The framing at the moment is that Simmons feels the organization, in one way or another, has not held up its end of the bargain in the relationship. No, it was Simmons, at each and every turn, who failed to hold up his. I take no issue with him wanting a fresh start and getting out of Philadelphia. What I do find patently absurd is him developing a victim complex on his way out the door. He has been pampered and coddled since day one by the city and the organization alike. The fans gave him a standing ovation every time he attempted a three. I don't wish him any bad karma, and I don't blame him for asking out. But Ben Simmons desperately needing a ticket out of Philadelphia is Ben Simmons' own fault. Maybe the framing of Simmons as the victim in the situation is a media ploy by his representatives to help expedite this process. Or maybe it's another chapter in Simmons being completely and totally unable to accept that it is his own flaws that have created this situation. For the Rights to Ricky Sanchez, this has been Mike O'Connor, and once again, this video was sponsored by BodyBio.